Welcome to Wild and Brave. Today, I want to talk about how you can use the 5 second rule to not do things you want to do less of. I would file this under the not impressive ways to be a better person. Sometimes we talk about personal growth ideas and they feel very impressive. They're exciting. Things like how to have more willpower, how to set your intentions, how to live in line with your values. And that feels exciting because values are big. They can cause us to hope for the future. They can even help us admire ourselves a little bit, where you can say, yeah, I really like that I care about being a good friend. I really love that I am following through on this important commitment. Those types of things feel good. They feel big. They feel meaningful, worth praising yourself for. But some of the techniques that I've been using lately aren't big and shiny like that. For example, the last few days, I have been shifting some of my evening patterns, my habit patterns. I created a pattern of staying up late, streaming digital content, something I haven't done for a while. What I know about me is I have more access to my energy, my ideas, my ability to follow through on stuff when I've had a good night's sleep that happened after I spent quality time with paper. Whether I'm reading a book or I'm doodling and drawing in a notepad, I know that being on a digital screen keeps my brain from getting the right kind of sleepy, where I really go to bed at a great time and I wake up refreshed. So I know better than that. A lot of us know that there are things that really work for us, but we fall into patterns of not doing what works for us. That's what I was doing. So the past couple of days, I've actually found myself not becoming strong and fierce and determined to fix my pattern, where I say, okay, no more Netflix in the evenings, no more streaming of Olympic replays, no more reading on your digital device or playing games. Instead, I said, you know what? I could do that, but maybe later. I've harnessed the maybe later to just delay opening an app, delay starting watching something. I've been putting it off and I've discovered something that kind of surprised me. I wouldn't have believed. I wouldn't have really suspected. Kind of did this on accident, guys. But you know how when you want to do something good and you get that impulse, but you wait, you say, I'm not sure, or maybe later. The impulse dies, and later you don't really have the energy to get started on the thing. But if you follow through on the impulse when it arrives, you use that activation energy to get going. Once you get going, you have the energy to do it. There's that window we sometimes talk about as the 5 second rule. Our friend Mel Robbins, she kind of made it famous where you think about counting to 5. And when you get an idea, a good idea you want to act on, you try to act on it before you could finish a count of 5. That's because when you have the urge to do something, there's energy. But if you put it off, the energy goes away. In life, we generally use the 5 second rule to help us do more of what we intend. But what about when what you intend or what your brain has the reflex to do? For example, you may be watching something and you have a thought, a stray thought that shreds your attention, takes you away from what you're watching or the conversation you're having, and you think, let me just look it up on my phone. That is an impulse, the impulse to interrupt yourself. If you give in to the impulse, satisfy it by searching, grab your phone, interrupt the person you're talking to, and ask a question. If you follow that impulse, you've used the activation energy to interrupt yourself. If, on the other hand, you kind of delay and you say, oh, maybe I'll look that up later, you let the impulse die, you allow your attention to stay where it is longer. Now, sometimes the best thing you can do is to stop jumping at every little urge you have. When the urge is to eat more than you're actually hungry for, or to just let one more video go. If you let the urge pass, you have more ability through almost laziness to do less of the thing you're trying to do less of. So the way this worked in my life is I recently got a brick. I don't know if you've seen the brick commercials that have been seem like they pop up everywhere now, but it's a little plastic piece of technology that has an app set up in my phone, and I use it in strict mode where I have scheduled times where I want certain things on my phone to not be accessible to me. In order to get access during that time when it is has brick mode on, I would literally have to go all the way into the place in my sister's room where she is storing my brick for me and use the physical device to exit my brick mode. What it requires is a whole lot more energy investment in order to escape the protection I've put on my attention. So you better believe I've had tons of thoughts. Oh, let me order this on Amazon. Oh, let me watch this video on YouTube that pop up always during my writing time, during the time when I'm trying to have my devotionals or be present for breakfast with my family. Um, because the program is set there, it requires so much more energy for me to go against my intentions. I started using my own natural laziness to say, I'm not going to go on brick. Yeah, I said this and yeah, it can wait. It can wait. I started using the it can wait feeling to let myself be lazy about the things like starting streaming a show or, I'll just grab an ebook and sit and read for a few minutes before I get to the next project. I say instead, nah, maybe later. And the maybe later lets my activation energy of the urge for dopamine, that urge to play a game or do something that activates that reward center in my brain. And I say, maybe later. Maybe it's not revolutionary for anyone else, but I've really been finding that this approach makes me feel less like I am trying to be perfect about my phone usage, trying to be perfect with my writing sessions, and showing up just a little more gently to the triggers and substances that can kind of hijack my attention. I'm kind of tiptoeing past them, saying maybe later. It's really been working for me lately. I feel a lot of energy, and I don't feel like I've put on a straitjacket of I can never fill in the blank. For the most part, the things that we're doing too much of for our entertainment or relaxation, a lot of times those things don't need to leave our lives. They just need a more moderate place in them. So if you're like me, maybe practice with we could call it an off-label use for the 5-second rule. Instead of trying to take action within the first 5 minutes to make sure we take and we do the thing we intend, let that countdown clock go. Let the 5 seconds go. Let the urge to interrupt yourself go and see what maybe grows in the space that's left behind. Whatever you do today, let your laziness help you and take some action on that spurt of energy that says, I really should. I really should think about what might be draining my energy. I really should take a minute and be satisfied with the action I just took. I really should slow down and make a list rather than rushing myself and saying, I'm behind, I'm behind, I'm behind. Whatever you do today, I hope you have energy and satisfaction and that you feel just a little brave so you can try something new and bring more ease and joy into your workflow.